Going live. This is The Old Show, a source of inspiration not only for cranks, aging time deniers, and fogey has-beens. It's an expression of the senior revolution, an ongoing proclamation of our refusal to quietly take our place in the grand scheme of ageism. A place where we can gently make fun of ourselves and point the finger of righteousness at everyone else. This is The Old Show.
Hi, is this Mr. Krotchett?
Yes?
This is Tommy Younger from the United International Corporate Foundation. You had applied for a job with us.
Oh, right. How's it going?
Well, we're looking at your resume and we had a few questions.
Okay, shoot.
As you know, this job was for web marketing manager. It seems like you've had quite a bit of experience.
Well, I've been involved in web marketing development since the web began.
Well, that's just it. We're not really sure how that experience is relevant in today's marketplace.
You mean you think I'm too old for your company?
What? Oh, no, of course not. Of course not. No, how could you even think such a thing? It's just that the web began back in 1990, and well, that would make you...
So you are saying I'm too old?
Oh, no, of course not. That would be age discrimination. That's illegal. No, we don't care how old you are. We're simply seeking someone with boundless energy, someone willing to work for half of what it takes to survive, and if possible, do 120 push-ups while ingesting a case of Red Bull. On the other hand, we also want someone who has already been so successful they wouldn't want or need this job in the first place. Someone who seems to possess years of experience but doesn't actually, so we can pay them less. By the way, are you on Twitter?
No.
Instagram?
No.
Got a YouTube channel?
Well...
WeChat? Tumblr? Skype? Snapchat? Pinterest? Reddit? Ringen? Tag? Snapfish?
Well, I think I signed up for AOL once.
AOL?
Yeah, that's America Online.
Let me ask you, do you think that makes you relevant?
Hey, I don't need to have a bunch of fake followers to prove my worth. I'm hip. I'm no square. I'm with it. I'm in the groove. I'm on the beam. Just the fact that I know all of this young people's slang should prove to you my actual age. Not that it matters.
Now, can you tell me how you would get along with different cultures in the workplace?
Well, you mean like Hispanics or Asians?
Oh, no. More like, people with fewer years of breathing experience.
So, you are saying I'm too old?
Of course not. No. That would be discrimination. That's illegal. Let's change the subject. Can you tell me what you've been up to recently?
Sure. Over the last 3 years, I've developed and launched 12 web businesses, turning a profit on all 12 in less than 18 months. I've also founded a charity for recovering racists, and since most of my older friends have passed on or given up on human interaction completely, I've been forced to socialize with young people. I mean, newer people, who despite their lack of curiosity, knowledge, and communication skills, appear to at least have the ability to help me lift heavy boxes when I need to visit my storage unit. I've also run my second Boston Marathon in as many years and am now 5 years cancer-free, which has helped me in my double lung and heart transplant recovery.
I see. So tell me, why would you want to work for us? Imagining for a moment your age was not an issue, which of course it isn't. And of course we never ask your age because it would be illegal. So really, why would you want to work for a bunch of whiny, entitled white guys who wouldn't dream of discriminating against an old man since they've already had their legal hands full fighting discrimination lawsuits filed by younger women?
Well, that's easy. As my resume suggests, I've done quite a few things. Had a few ups and downs like most people. And I've been called a few names, quite a few names actually. But one thing though I've never been called is entitled. Assuming that I'd be owning a multi-million-dollar company by the time I was 25. I guess it's something I've never aspired to. I just thought I'd need to have something to contribute to society before I could expect much in return.
Interesting. Krotchett, we'll be in touch.
Yeah, or not.
You've been listening to the old show's Call of the Week.
And now, a Krotchett rant. Well, soon COVID will be behind us, hopefully. And the discussions we've had over the last while have been about our young people, our kids, the students that go to schools, how safe they are. And some have elected to stay home altogether. Others have been compelled to go back immediately, and everything in between. Hopefully that gets straightened out. But that does raise a whole new question. This could be an opportunity for change. Why are we making kids go to school that don't want to go to school? I just read a New York Times article. It was a while ago. It touches on the poor state of education in the United States, despite a variety of efforts. Going all the way back to No Child Left Behind and others. Our heroic attempts at reviving our schools haven't brought us any closer to a more effective school system. It was 1983 when the government released its first report, A Nation at Risk, which warned of an impending decline of our nation's education system. Well, we fulfilled that. It was 10 years before that now. Think about this. 10 years before that the U.S. government, at the recommendation of the Gates Commission, which is not Bill Gates, but another Gates, they instituted what would become known as the country's all-volunteer army. Now, for you older folks like me, you might remember the Vietnam War and World War II and some of that stuff. We had a draft in those days. People were drafted into the army when they needed extra help to fight wars. But starting in the mid-70s, we developed the all-volunteer army. And after a few years of fits and starts, they had to tweak it. And some people had reservations about it. The all-volunteer army became a success, a model that the U.S. government stands by to this day. So I'm thinking about our nation's schools. Maybe we should try an all-volunteer student body. Let's forget about compelling children to get an education. Our high school graduation rate is abysmal as it is. The percentage of high school graduates is half of what it was in 1970, and that's with half the population we have now. Our scholastic achievement indicators would certainly improve if we didn't include all those little whiny asses that don't even want to be there. Look, it may sound silly at first, but hear me out. If you only had students who actually wanted to learn things show up for school, you'd only need half the teachers. So two things immediately happen. You have classrooms filled with eager students, and because of dwindling class size, you'll have the opportunity to fire all those crappy overpaid teachers and keep only the good ones for your students. Now you might wonder what we do with all the students who chose not to go to school. Well, that's obvious. They would be conscripted into the all-volunteer consumer economy. These ne'er-do-wells would simply buy all the shit at malls they would buy anyway. Only now they won't waste valuable resources hanging around our schools and classrooms, causing trouble. Instead, they'll keep our industry strong by continuing to create consumer demand. And as for our esteemed graduates of our new school system, they'll have the pick of any job or college they want with much higher wages and salaries, not only because their education will be so much better, but demand from employers will skyrocket because the all-volunteer economy will have sucked away all of those non-productive employees that just wanted to party anyway. With newfound income, our young, superbly educated workforce will be able to support their good-for-nothing lazy-ass friends, and maybe us old farts as well. Finally, we'd have a perfect world. This is Krotchett for The Old Show. Well, it's time for a story. And as usual, it's a true story. This one happened about 50 years ago. So So that would put it about 1971, maybe 72. So there we go. It started with a vacation plan. Larry, Buck, and I jumped into a 1968 Austin America and headed for Alaska. We had 3 sleeping bags, 3 Hires root beers, and 3 days. We left Seattle heading north on Interstate 5 for Canada, not knowing what to expect. We drove the Alcan Highway, flying through one little village after another. The paved highway quickly became a gravel road just north of Dawson Creek. The spaces between the towns grew longer and longer the further we went. At night, no street lights, porch lights, nothing could be seen. There weren't any guideposts, reflectors, or junction signs. It was just a road. This was it. One afternoon, we pulled into a roadside picnic area to camp. It was on a wooded bank near a bridge that crossed the Mackenzie River up in the Yukon. The campsite basically included 3 or 4 picnic tables and an outhouse, located down on a sandbar near the river. It was a porta-potty, all right. Every spring the floods came, and I'm sure it was conveniently relocated a few miles further downstream. And it got cleaned out at the very same time. We set up a tent and gave the mighty Austin some maintenance. After that, Buck went down to the road to look for some firewood. Larry, attired in his shorts, Hawaiian shirt, and straw hat, his fishing pole in hand, headed down to the bank of the river to catch some of those elusive northwest salmon. I sat at the picnic table and began writing a letter. After a time, I heard a tiny whisper. Psst! Hey, Gare, you want to see a bear? I looked up to see Buck with his arms loaded down with wood. He had stopped in the middle of the road, not sure as to what his next move might be. I shouted, "Hey, great, where?" Buck cringed. He nodded his head in my direction. I turned around just in time to see a black bear leaning up against the same picnic table I was writing on. He was staring right at me. Yikes, I thought. The bear just stared at me for a moment. I had never seen a bear before, at least not one outside of his natural habitat, which until this time I perceived to have been a zoo. I had never watched Gentle Ben or Grizzly Adams. I had no idea how to react. I frantically tried to remember the advice written in outdoor magazines since time immemorial. What to do when you meet a bear. Unfortunately, I had never read any of those articles. Just then the bear turned away. Well, not exactly. The bear turned and began investigating our campsite. Fortunately for us, we still had our food locked in the car, so Mr. Bear didn't find too much to investigate. He must have gotten a whiff of some fish, though, because down to the river he went, just loping along in no great hurry. He turned left around the bend and went under the bridge, where Larry had been fishing. After what seemed like an unusually long time, Buck and I heard a blood-chilling scream. Looking down from the top of the bank, we could see Larry running quite fast, straw hat gone, fishing pole in hand, being followed by our friend Mr. Bear. If Larry were to climb the bank, he'd certainly slow down enough for the bear to catch him. So Larry, who's no dummy, headed straight for the porta-potty and locked himself in. He had made one mistake, however. He had locked a fish in with him. The bear stopped. He was about 4 feet from the porta-potty that held Larry and his fish. He looked around almost as if to see if anyone were watching, acting a lot like a little kid looking for some mischief in a candy store. The bear hardly noticed Buck and I watching. We were surveying the situation from the top of the bank. You could see the bear's big black nose wiggle to the beat of that fish scent. He walked forward, twitching that famous nose as he went. He spent several minutes walking around the toilet before he finally stood up and leaned against it, rocking it back and forth just a bit. Larry let out a scream. Sorry to say, Buck and I were laughing pretty hard. It seemed to be the appropriate thing to do. The bear found the latch to the door and began swiping at it with his paws. "Get me out of here, you guys," Larry yelled. "Don't worry, Larry," Buck said. "Your toilet is much bigger than he is." The bear started rocking the porta-potty back and forth. It wasn't long before the whole contraption went tumbling over with Larry's screaming accompaniment. The bear ran off just far enough to turn and watch. He was soon back and crawled onto the porta-potty now like a trained seal at SeaWorld. He just sat on top of it, rolling it back and forth. By this time, we decided Larry had had enough fun, so we came down the bank making threatening noises and flailing sticks. The bear reluctantly went away. Upon opening the porta potty, we found Larry completely drenched in that which porta potties are designed to hold. Needless to say, it was some time and several showers later before Larry was welcomed back into the tent. So ended our first encounter with a bear. You know, bears, they're not so bad.
Okay, it's time to play that game we like to call What the Heck Was That? That's right, it's really a simple game. We're going to play something for 15 seconds, something from the 1930s to the 70s. Could be an excerpt from a television show, could be a little bit of a song, could be a quote from a movie, a famous speech. Your job is to guess what it is. Go to our website on theoldshow.com, click the message link and tell us the correct answer, and maybe you'll win something, and maybe you won't. So let's play it right now. Here comes that sound. You're going to have 15 seconds, and that will be that. Starting now.
Vice President Johnson, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chief Justice, President Eisenhower.
What the heck was that? If you know what that was, just go to our website at theoldshow.com, leave us an audio message. Tell us what you think it was, and if you're right, we'll send you something really cool. On the other hand, we may not do anything. You know, we're busy, we're old, we're cranky, but that's how we do it on The Old Show. Thanks for playing. What the heck was that? So, Anne, what did you think of the show?
Well, the most valuable 20 minutes of anyone's life is now ruined forever.
Well, there's that music again, letting us know it's time to say goodbye for now. We want to thank our guests, our great support team and technical staff, none of whom we'll recognize or remember tomorrow. Join us again soon for another adventure of resistance aging on The Old Show. And be sure to visit us at theoldshow.com. We always want to hear from you. Some supporting audio portions of the program were made available through the Creative Commons license and provided by the Internet Archive. The Old Show is a production of Gary Ball Bryant and is available online. Thanks for stopping by. The Old Show.